Hello and welcome to episode 3 of your Creepiest Corner. Today I have with us...
Hi, I'm Gidget Gravedigger.
And I'm Emma Eldritch.
And, as always, I'm Ariel Hansen. Now, I guess the first question we'll get into is, what do you do within the horror community?
We have a stupid podcast.
Yeah.
Dark Entries.
Yeah.
We just watch bad horror movies and then we talk about the bad horror movies, usually while fairly inebriated.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun time.
Some of the episodes I've listened to and gone, I don't remember talking about this. So that's good life decisions I'm making.
As a listener, I enjoy it.
Yeah. I have another podcast about the occult called Osculum Infame, which needs to be updated. I actually have a very special episode coming out recorded, not live, but recorded on location in a stone circle in Cornwall. So that's kind of exciting. That's creepy. I'm not sure that's really horror, but it's creepy.
It's spooky.
Yeah.
Spooky, yeah.
Other than that, we are...
we're both performers and producers of horror burlesque.
Yeah.
Okay.
As well as script writers.
I guess so.
Yeah. For like, not for movies or anything like that, but for theater.
Yeah.
We've both written things for our own shows as well as for Spectral Theater.
Yes.
And you're, also a writer.
I guess so.
Yeah.
All sorts of just dumb bullshit, really.
Yeah. You mentioned that you do horror burlesque and like you produce shows.
Yes.
So what made you want to combine horror with dance?
It started, it was my second year of doing burlesque, and I had already started to get to know Melody Mangler, who is renowned in Vancouver. But the first weird one that I saw was Screaming Chicken's production of Orgy of the Dead.
Okay.
And I remember going there before I even started burlesque, and I was kind of like, oh, are these the people that I should, take lessons from? And when I saw Orgy of the Dead, I was like, yes, I found my crew. They're super weird.
Yeah, it was a super fun show.
And Melody was very, friendly, and she obviously was, super into horror. So I was like, okay, I like you, let's do this. So I did their Becoming Burlesque, and me and Melody just kind of, mind melded. Because she's a big horror fan as well. And I think it was my second year of being in burlesque, and we were talking, and we were like, how come there's no, big horror shows in Vancouver? What's with that? And then we were like, well... why don't we make one? So, if you can't find what you want to do, then just do it yourself.
Yeah. But it's always been a successful show, but last year the response was ridiculous. Yeah. So, have to be prepared this year.
Well, I remember, probably 6 or 7 years ago, because I was in some store and I remember seeing the postcard for it and being like, that looks cool! Yay! I'm working that night, of course. Yeah. Because that probably was the year I worked Fright Nights.
Probably, yeah.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. I know from sources that, especially listening to Osculum Infame, you are both very knowledgeable in the occult.
She's knowledgeable.
You're not unknowledgeable.
We always joke that if we were Ghostbusters, she's Egon.
Yeah.
Because literally 7 crates of books are in the room behind me.
I was about to argue, but no, there's
it's a ginormous library of just occult stuff. I'm more like Ray. Where I like ghosts, I get excited about ghosts.
You got head from a ghost.
I got head from a ghost one time, and there you go. So.
Then who's your Winston and your Bill Murray's character?
Winston is Diana, our friend Diana.
Jesse's.
I was going to say,
Jesse's dead for Bill Murray. We come from a very normal family, aside from the fact that they're completely secular. Which I always thought was normal growing up, but the more I meet other people, I guess it isn't. So we weren't raised religiously or anything. My mother's side of the family, there was always kind of that interest, I would say. Not people who did any shit, but kind of you'd hear oh, your great aunt used to read tea leaves, but she saw something bad once, so she stopped, which struck me as very pussy.
Just like, keep going.
Yeah, but that was kind of like where my mom came from, so she was kind of one of those people who was always really interested in, you know, like spooky things like ghosts and stuff. Never did anything about it, but was interested.
Yeah.
So
And our dad was much more like Zen, Buddhism, like...
Yeah, had lots of books on like mythology and stuff like that. So, and then when we were teenagers, we moved to Abbotsford, which of course is the Bible Belt, and that was my first real exposure to religion.
Yeah.
Rather like specifically Christianity, because, you know, we'd never been to church or anything, and so I was in high school, I was 14, I
read maybe 3 pages of the Bible.
Yeah, she's still, like, honestly, asking this one anything about the Bible is hilarious.
Someone once assumed that I knew what the New Testament was.
She was, literally,
I was like, there's a New
Testament? I'm just like, dude, yes. But yeah, so I found that a lot of people getting in my face about it, essentially, because they'd ask you, you know, oh, what's your name? Where are you from? What church do you go to? And you're like,
I don't.
None. So because I was a surly teenager, the obvious thing to do was to not do what people wanted you to do. Yeah. And it was like 1996, and The Craft came out, and that's literally it. That's all it took. Yeah, it was just being like, I don't like other people, and I like this movie. So that's,
that's where that came from.
You have some shows, you produce shows, so maybe you could go into the process of how you plan one of those.
Oh, okay. Well, we've got it done pretty well now.
Yeah. After 9 years.
Basically, it rolls around to the summer, and then we call Melody Mangler and we say, hey, we should start talking about Abracadabra again. Yeah. And we get together and we sit down and we think about themes, because we found relatively early on that it works better to have a theme for the show.
Yeah.
So we've had different ones over different years, like mythology, nightmares, deal with the devil. This year's urban legends. Mm-hmm. So we just kind of start throwing out ideas for things that you can do multiple segments to.
Yeah, and we have to try and make sure that it's broad enough, because it's not just dance, it's burlesque, and we also have 2 magicians, and then we also have like theatrical actors. So it's just like you have to be able to have enough range to give all these different performers and be like, okay, here we go, let's do this. So if you get too specific, I know when we did Deal with the Devil, we were worried about it being too narrow of a focus and being like, shit, how are we going to do this? But then we started talking about it and we came up with like 8 ideas. And we're like, oh, well, never mind, there's our show right there.
Yeah, so you basically just start brainstorming ideas, like, because Urban Legends was actually on the table for last year. Yeah. But
we went with mythology last year.
Yeah, that's right.
We went old school, now we're going current.
And then, you just kind of sit there and just go, okay, what about this, what about this, what about this? Yeah. And then eventually, whichever one has more, you go, okay, that's the one we're doing this year. Yeah.
And then we come up with an idea of what we want our host wraparound to be, because ever since, with the first 2 years that we did it, it was more like just a cabaret, and it was like, here's your host, and we introduce our performers, and pretty soon we kind of got bored of that, because it's like every other show, and we're like, we need to set ourselves apart. So we started incorporating wraparound stories. Yeah. So your host is a character, not just like a, hey, I'm so-and-so. And it worked really well. The audience always responded much better. Yeah. And it also gave a nice way to tell a larger story. So
and make the theme really obvious, too.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, oh, all these things are connected.
So then usually we try and write like what we think the wraparound story is going to be. Like for urban legends, it's going to be...
That was so easy.
So easy. Yeah. It's 2 girls having a slumber party. Yeah. Telling each other spooky stories. And urban legends. Oh my god,
Becky.
Yeah. And then from there, once we have our ideas, we start doing our casting. Yeah. And there's a couple of like obviously like set performers that we have every year. Yeah. Is myself, Emma, Melody.
Hey, I'm not always set.
No, but like we get first pick. Yeah. So it's kind of like if you're like, oh, I have a great idea for a number, then you do it. But if you're like, fuck, I'm stumped, then
or I don't want to,
or you don't want to, then you sit that year out. And then we have our 2 magicians.
Yes.
Which is Alistair Crane and Travis Birdhart.
Yeah. We get them every year. Yeah. They're wonderful.
Yeah. And then everyone else, we just sort of start picking people that we like and that we know are going to be good at horror. Yeah. And then, we do photo shoot with Anathema Photography, who's been doing our wonderful posters for 9 years. Yep. She's amazing. Yeah. I just have to come to her with like a sketch, and I'm like, this is what I'm thinking, and she just sees right into my brain, and she's like, okay, I got it.
Make that happen. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just wonderful. And yeah,
that's pretty much it.
Okay, and now the last question. What would you like to plug?
Well, obviously, Abracadabra Cabaret. It's a yearly show. Look for it every October. Easy to find.
This year it will be on October 13th. It's a Saturday.
Yeah!
Yay! Well before any of the other Halloween parties in Vancouver.
Yes.
Start the season off the right way.
Yep. We've also got coming up at the Fox Theatre, we've got Comedy of Terrors, which was another show. It's a sort of a revamping of a monthly show that we used to do with Alistair Crane.
Yeah.
So it's really goofy and spooky. It's kind of more like Haunted Mansion.
It's kind of like low budget schlock, like Elvira.
Yeah.
Hilarious House of Frightenstein.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. So that one's really good. Then in early December 8th, at the Rio Theatre, there's going to be sort of a punk rock retelling of the witch trials. Mm-hmm. It's called Season of the Witch, and that should be really exciting. That one's not as funny, but I don't know, I think there's a couple of giggles.
There's a couple of fun,
but it's
cheeky songs.
Yeah, a little darker, but that's should hopefully be very exciting. Other than that, of course, you can find us at Dark Entries, the
on
podcast.
Podbean.
Yep.
And iTunes. Yeah, we're on iTunes.
And we'll get on the Google Play.
We can also get on Spotify.
Yes, that's right. You can do Spotify now. That's great. So,
and Osculum Infame.
And Osculum Infame as well, if you want to hear slightly drunk people talk about stuff that's probably not real.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you very much for coming on our show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, and is there places people can follow you on social media before we run away?
Oh, yeah, you can find me at emma.eldritch on Instagram. That's pretty much the only place I am.
Yeah.
You're
not on the
I am not good with social media.
She's not on the Tumblr. I don't use Tumblr, and I don't use the other
Twitter?
thing. Yeah, the thing with the bird.
Yeah.
But you can find the Twitty Twit. You can find me at Gidget.Gravedigger on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's mainly where I post. I barely use Facebook anymore.
I never use it.
That's it.
Okay. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.